this ride, the day did not start off the best because the bike would not start. Turned out to be a loose connection in the battery, so fixed that. Now she's running fine again, so that's good. Easy fix. Also, I was gonna take like a nice long winding route, but I'll be honest, that looks like rain clouds, and it kind of smells like rain's on the way as well, and I cannot be bothered to get caught in the rain today, so I don't really know where I'm going, but it wasn't the direction I planned. I hope you enjoyed that rev. I did. At least they fixed that bottle. There are another one's forming right next to it. Joy. So, update on the boot situation. I found some. I've got some. I'm wearing them. They are RST, which seems to be the brand to go for if you're like me. So shifting gear with the new boots took a little bit of adjusting too, but I've got the hang of it now. Okay, so I wanted to talk about, I think I've already mentioned it previously in the video, or like briefly touched on it. It's kind of like riding when you have anxiety, or having anxiety about bike riding and wondering if it's going to get easier. As someone who does not need to be on a bike to feel anxious. Ah, fucking hell! That does not help! Oh my god! That was a squirrel! I didn't hit it! Oh, that's my worst nightmare down these roads, is something running out. As I was saying, god, what a way to introduce this. As someone who generally feels anxious at every point of the day, not just when I'm on a bike, or when I used to be on a bike, I can understand how scary it can be when you're learning to ride and like wondering if your anxiety is going to get any better. And basically I can summarize it as, hello giraffe, I can summarize it as, there will get a point where you will go from being anxious about riding to riding to help you when you're anxious. When I first got my 125, both me and Katie, we went out very quiet hours. Oh my god, this road is so bumpy, gonna stand up. We went out very quiet hours so that not a lot of people were out on the roads, so we could get used to the bikes without a lot of stress, and that definitely helped. But obviously that's what we felt like we needed to do at that point, you know, like going riding when it was rush hour was not something I wanted to do. At some point you have to sort of like rip the band-aid off and go for it, but for the first few weeks definitely, and for a lot longer after that I still felt anxious, but for the first few weeks I literally only rode when it was quiet. Yeah, I'm doing 27. Yeah, the speed is 30. Why have you given me orange numbers? I'm within the speed limit. So let's say you are quite anxious about going out, but you've decided to go for it, learn to ride. You've got a bike, you've done your CBT, so you've done the first step. And now it's hard because you're on your own. You know, you don't actually need anyone with you for you to go out and ride. What I did is I found somewhere quiet, so little residential areas that I knew pretty well, I knew would be quite quiet, and I just practiced, you know, whatever you need to practice. For me it was junctions, and particularly right turns. They always I always seem to mess them up, and because you feel like you're going to mess them up, you probably are more likely to anyway, because you know most of it is psychological. Yeah, the message kind of is, if you are timid about sort of riding, but you want it to be something that you want to love, then it is just about repetition, practicing over and over and over again. Where am I? Yeah, find something quiet, somewhere where you can practice what you need to practice, whether that's like stopping or controlling the gears or clutch control or turning or even getting up to speed. You know, maybe there's some quiet country lanes where you can start getting up to like 40, 50, 60 miles an hour. And you will get to a point where you will ride and it will calm your anxiety rather than increasing it, because there's so much other stuff to think about. And that's why you kind of need your skills to be second nature, because if you're thinking about too much about what you're doing, about what gear you're meant to be in, about how you're meant to control the clutch and when you need to be braking and all of that, if you're thinking too much about that, then you're not going to be able to put all of your attention on the road, and that's going to freak you out even more, because then you're worried that you're not being safe. Right, read the signs. Where am I going? Kettering, right. There's a blind corner. Because let's be honest, if you're just on a CBT, you've not done enough practice usually, unless you've had like loads of experience before that. You've not had enough practice to where things are second nature. You know, you're probably still thinking, oh, I know where I am now. You're probably still thinking a lot about what you're doing and how you're controlling the bike, to the point where it might not be properly safe for you to go out in a busy town. And, you know, you're trying to predict what everyone else is doing as well, and trying to react to any other hazards around you. So if you find a lower hazard environment, nowhere's going to be zero hazard if you're out on the road. But if you find somewhere where it is quite quiet, you can make those skills second nature, and then gradually get to busier places and start working on sort of like your cornering and that kind of stuff, and start working on more advanced skills, say advanced, or just making you a more skilled rider. And the thing is, it is a very steep learning curve to start with, but you also don't stop learning once you pass like your CBT, or you definitely CBT, but even your mods, like you're just starting to learn. I'm 6 months into riding, I'm still classing myself as a beginner rider. Like, I ride basically every single day, so I know my skills have improved, but also there's stuff that I'm still no good at. I need to work on my slow maneuvers more. My cornering is okay, but it's not like advanced riders level. I literally hate the surface of this roundabout. Why is it that bad? How does it get that bad? And here we go. The weekly grumbling about this road too. Yep, I'm still going to complain about it, because it's still shocking. Now, the worst thing you can do if you are like me, because I was like this, I was very anxious about riding, and it took me to gradually like increase like, let's say, like going out into busier times and that sort of stuff. I didn't just sort of jump in the deep end. If you are like me, the worst thing you can do is compare yourself to someone who's not, because there are some people that will get on a bike, find it really easy, go out rush hour. Yeah, okay, it'll be a bit of a challenge, but they'll do it, and it'll be more of a challenge rather than an absolute panic attack inducing experience. You know, other people are different. That might not be you. It wasn't me, and that's okay. Just don't compare yourself to them, because it's going to do you absolutely no good. All you're going to do is feel like you're not improving fast enough, or, you know, other people might go on group rides early than you do, and you might feel like you're missing out. But it is a smarter option to go at your own pace rather than try and do stuff that others are doing just because they're doing it. How long do new boots take to wear in? I'm guessing that depends on how often you use them, to be fair, and what you use them for. So that's probably a pointless question, but I will ask it anyway. I already feel a lot better, or I've just got into the right sort of routine of where my foot needs to be for the peg. Other stuff I did to sort of like minimize how anxious I felt was take routes that I knew well, so I didn't have to think about taking routes that I didn't particularly know very well, and sort of assessing new roads and trying to figure out where I need to be and what lane to be in and where my turnings were and that sort of stuff. Like, if you go on familiar roads, again, it's one less thing to think about when your brain's focused on so many new things. And then again, if you are taking a new route, give yourself plenty of time so you're not in a rush. Follow a map so you can sort of see when your turnings are coming up. But yeah, I can't pinpoint exactly when I started going out riding and felt calmer rather than feeling really anxious about it. It was on this bike rather than the 125. I never felt fully comfortable on the 125 because it wasn't really the right bike for me, and I realised how important that is now, especially when you're new. Let's say you've just passed your CBT and you're really nervous about going out, but you've got a bike and you don't want to let it go to waste. Just keep practicing, and you'll be surprised, like in a couple of months you'll be doing stuff that you never thought you would. Or like for me especially, like I'll take a right turn and not even think about it anymore, whereas that used to be like a massive overthinking thing. You'll just suddenly find yourself having skills that you didn't realise you were building, and suddenly they're there. How long is this red light? Should have gone into neutral. There we go. Your boot's open, mate. Filtering was one thing that I don't think it took me a long time to do, but it took me a long time to do it without absolutely panicking whilst I was filtering. And it might have been like I'd filtered like 2 cars down and then tuck in. And again, filtering is one of those things where you just do it at your own pace, and you've got to make sure the situation is right for you to learn in. Like, I feel like if you're in like standstill with multiple lanes of traffic, that's almost the best type of filtering. Whereas if you're in town and there's just a big queue and you're sort of skipping to the front, that requires even more attention, because there's a likelihood of a lot more junctions and a lot more people trying to move and maybe do a U-turn if they've stopped, if like, you know, if it's a roadworks or whatever. And again, there's no harm in like just sitting in a queue because you're not ready to filter yet, because the alternative is you trying to filter when you're not properly confident. Maybe your whole mind is not on, you know, all the hazards around you. Some of it's on panicking that you're actually filtering. So I hope that is some help to those who are like me when I first started riding. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We're almost at 2,000. Follow us on Instagram, because again, we're almost at 10,000 there. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.